Hello, this is Hewitt. I was reaching out regarding your application you submitted for the help desk operations support. If you could give me a call back, I would love to discuss this opportunity with you. I hope all is well and I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you.
Hello?
What's up, bro?
What's up?
Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I got the thing started and recording and stuff, man. Starting the recording, so I'm not gonna take too much of your time. But I wanted to and I'll edit some of this out or whatever, whatever's needed. But I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about the discussion we had when we were talking about the IT employment fraud on Indeed, and also that data center thing I sent, and then your interview, the company I hooked you up with where you had an interview today and stuff. So I'll just introduce you as KJ, if that's fine, or you could say your name or whatever the case may be. But if
KJ is fine.
KJ's fine. Okay. So if you could kind of tell the listeners, and I'm not live right now, I'm on my machine, the listeners on some of your IT background and what happened from start to finish with that company that you applied, and then we could kind of get them. We could, I'll kind of investigate them as we go along, far as the name and things of that nature, and kind of letting, the brothers and sisters know this is a place you want to avoid, and these are some things that you do want to avoid if you're, doing your due diligence online, looking for, remote work.
Okay. Hey, well, this I applied through Indeed through a company called Wilson School. They're located in one of the suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia.
It's called Wilson's?
Wilson School, or called I thought it was actually a high school and stuff, but once I called in, I thought it was just actually plain regular school for first graders and younger kids, and I didn't even know that until I actually started looking into it and got a call about that once I called them the third time.
How do you spell? You said what was the name again?
I think it's named Wilson.
Wilson.
Yes. Give me a second. Yeah, I think it's located in one of the suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia.
Decatur? Is it Wilson Academy? That ain't it, is it?
No, it's not it.
Okay, that's not it. Okay, that's something different. Yeah, that's in Decatur. Okay. So
it's called Premier Road School. I think this is what it's called. I mean, I know it's like Wilson, something like that, but the school is called Premier Road School, located in Georgia. That's where it's located.
Premier
like one of the super
Roads.
Yes. Yep. PRIMROSE School.
Premier Rose.
Yes.
ROSE.
Yes. That was the name of the company I applied for on Indeed. And
Premier Rose. I still don't see. You said Premier Rose. ROSE.
Yes.
All in one word, or?
Yeah, all in one word.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Oh, Primrose.
Yes.
Okay, so Primrose School of Atlanta West Side on 2260 Marietta Boulevard?
Yes.
That's a suite. Okay, now when I click on this website, it looks like a real place. Pre-kindergarten, after school, infant, toddler. There's the franchise owners. And they have a phone number. They got a LinkedIn. They have a YouTube.
Yeah, the number I called, I seen it on Indeed. It was when I called him, it was some East Indian dude and stuff asked. I'm like, okay, I thought it was actually legit. And then when I called the second time after searching the number and stuff up myself through Google, a white lady answered. She told me that, she'll report that her account and stuff for fraud and stuff because someone hacked that account.
Oh, so somebody was using. So this is a real school.
Yes.
So somebody used their information to try to scam you, because I'm looking at their careers and the open positions. So this is a real school. So no disrespect to the school for anybody that's wondering, like, okay, well, all the school scamming. No, the school's not scamming, right? This is someone scamming.
It was somebody just hacked into their account. That's what the lady and stuff told me when I called her. She like, somebody hacked into their account, probably reported it and stuff. And she said, if you something happened to you and somebody, be sorry about that and stuff. I'm like, I was very upset and stuff once it happened. I'm like, at first I thought it was legit, because once I thought they were the legit actual job. And then when they sent me the I-9 form online, because it's the same as that I-9 form that had you fill out once you get hired on a new job and stuff. I'm like, okay, I thought they were actually legit. And then they sent me like two sort of small check and stuff in the mail. And I feel like, all right, cool. Maybe it's like a small sign-on bonus or something. Like, all right, then I took to my bank and actually got it deposited in my account. And I'm like, the weird thing is, the check actually came through. And that was the weird part. Even though the police officer says the price kind of weird surprise, because normally the check was actually fake or fraud, it would bounce, but yours didn't. And that it actually was the actual check and actually came through.
Okay.
And for some reason, I think I got my information stuff for direct deposit. Actually, they used it to hack into my bank account and stuff, and withdrew all my funds and put me into 2,000 something into the negative.
Okay, so you're saying this hacker, they used the Primrose School, and basically they set it up like it was a fake IT job on Indeed.com, and the 4,000. So you had a total of $4,000, right?
Yes.
You had $4,000 in your savings. They basically took your social. So this could be another issue where they could be using your social in other nefarious ways. $4,000.
Yeah, I checked like everything and stuff all through I think like Experian and like a credit. Like there's like a certain website go to check your credit score. You can use the same website to check and see who's using your social or not. Not check that website. I didn't see anything suspicious in my social, but still like you have to keep an eye on the stuff. And the police officer, so but the person I reported to the police station, once he gave me a call back, he was like, yeah, you better hope that they use your social, anything else, so far I hope they're done with you at this point. But still, he's like, the bank should be able to just basically shouldn't charge you full, but it's basically like charge you half. So basically right now I'm about to pay like about 2,000 something back to the bank right now. And I worked out a payment plan with them and stuff. So
which is outrageous, because here's the thing which I thought that was very suspicious, and when I talked to you, when you told me there was when you first sent me this email, this company, I was kind of looking like, this looks a little weird. The description on what you would be doing, I thought it was a little strange, but I didn't think too much of it. And I should have told you, well, nah, man, that something don't look right. Investigate a little more. But then you were like, yeah, I got hired and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, when do you start? And then, with the credit union, you were saying they should have been able to cover all of that. Like, you shouldn't have to pay. You did all your due diligence. You made a police report, and you said you contacted FBI, right?
Yeah, I went online, reported them online to the cybercrime report area and stuff, to the FBI website online, and I reported everything and stuff, the full report. Everything they ran down, even the police officer case number so far for the Minneapolis Police Department case number.
Right. So you did all your due diligence. You went to the Minneapolis Police Department. You contacted the FBI. You contacted your bank. You contacted this Primrose School. So they know. So they know that somebody's been using their stuff as within a scam. So there's an understanding between several different parties, and your credit union, they should have some kind of they should have some kind of bank, or I mean a banking rule where they should have covered all that money. You shouldn't have to pay that back. They said, well, it's pay back half. You lost $4,000. You lost $2,000, and then you lost another $2 because you're saying you got to pay them back too, but you're not getting anything. It's not like it's a loan. It's not like you took $2,000. This is your own money. And what's the name of this credit union so we can put them on blast?
Wings Financial Credit Union.
Yeah, black folks, don't mess with them. If they're not gonna cover stuff like this brother earned that money. He been saving that $4,000. He don't got $4,000 just to piss away, just for the sake of having $4,000. I mean, and the other thing that bothers me about it is the fact that they're putting you on a payment plan to say, well, because this was no fault of your own. You apply for a job. You apply for a job. Now they could try to argue, well, you didn't do your due diligence, but people getting scammed all the time. I mean, what happens if you would have had $30,000 to $50,000 in a business account, and they would have withdrew? Somebody scammed somehow, got your information and took $30,000. Are they not going to cover that too? So. Yeah, that's a little strange. I told you before. I go through a credit union, and I can refer you to them, but we want to let them know, like, hey, can you show documentation and policy where you guys cover something like this? Because I'm a very unhappy customer. I was at Wings Financial, and they would not cover me for the $4,000 I left, and they want me to pay $2,000 back, some money that I didn't even borrow of my own money. So what is the FBI and the police department talking about?
The police talk like, yeah, there's nothing we can do at the point right now. You gotta cut your losses and probably just pay back like at least half. They said they should not have to make you pay the full amount. Let's say, they even call them about it too, say, hey, you should not have to make you pay the full amount. You should pay at least half. And they agreed to borrow it. I should pay like at least half. The reason I agreed to the payment plan is I paid it in full at that time right now, where I had to go to court about it. I'm like,
right.
I'm not going to court about nothing. I'm not, because that's one thing I like to avoid is the courtrooms at all costs. Like, I don't like going to court makes me feel extremely uncomfortable and stuff. Like, the only time I really go to court about something is like for my kid, but other than that, anything else, I just avoid the courtrooms like that. So
yeah, so with the whole court thing, what they'll probably end up doing is, like you said, they'll make you pay the $2,000, and then it's another $1,000 or so, and then they gonna knock down another $1,000 for a lawyer. So they got their own lawyer on retainer, so you gonna end up paying $3,500 or more, and then fines and fees, and this the best thing that you can do at this point is not do business with them anymore. Give them their money, like you said, give them their little $50 a month or whatever they're talking about, and then cut your losses with that. And there should be something beyond. There should be, I don't know, like not necessarily like a class action or something, but there should be something where you can try to recover that money, through Wings Financial. They should have something where you can report them for, because that's not good business. That's not good business. And I don't know what you signed, and I'm not really sure what the policies are, but there should be something more than them telling you where you gotta, because you did everything you did, rightfully so. You did everything you were supposed to do, so, and now with a word to the wise for anybody that's listening to this, what can you say with having this issue? What kind of position do you feel like this has put you in? Do you feel like this has set you back, far as you being able to move forward towards other employment and getting things together in your life?
I would say it set me back a little bit, but I'm still recovering and stuff right now because I had like about one interview two different interviews today. I mean, the first interview I had yesterday was okay. Then I had the second interview for the same exact job today, and it surprisingly went pretty well. I'm just have to wait for a response from next week because they said they still interviewing more people.
Okay.
That's for a company. I guess they're like part of a insurance type of company and stuff. They work like with insurance and financial type of stuff, and they're based off in Bloomington, like basically around the same exact area where my previous employers are based off of, which is Pearson View.
Okay.
And also another insurance-based company contacted me as well too for a job as well today by phone, and they're based off around the same exact area and stuff. So I had like three different type of like the third job so far contacted by email. So they're based off of downtown Minneapolis, which is also the same as I think with that hybrid-based role. So hopefully one of these jobs will be hiring me, but at the same time, I'm still going to be constantly applying online. I'm at a point right now, it's like a lot of jobs have been constantly turning me down, like for the past few months. I'm like, what the heck's going on? Mm-hmm. And I'm at the point right now, it's like I'm just going to constantly keep putting the application in until I get a response for something.
Right.
So someone will hire me eventually. So.
Yeah. The template that you have that, because I know that was one of the old templates that you had that one of the directors, IT directors in the program we were working with before, of course, recommended that you use, which I actually use that same template myself. And some of the brothers and sisters that contact me, I give them the same thing. And this is indicative to the common issues that Black Americans face here when it comes to just simple employment things. You've in good faith applied to this position. The position turns out to be a scammer. One would argue, well, you should have did your due diligence. Well, that might be true, but the thing is, you did everything right in regard to your financial banking situation. Like, hey, I've been scammed. You have the proof. You're just like, okay, I didn't blow the money away, and you thought that you were, getting hired for a job. Now, the other question I have is, when you were hired for this job, when you got on the phone for the interview, how long was the interview?
And the interview was actually done by email first. And I asked her to correct me by email, like correct me and stuff. And I'm like, that's strange. I mean, but the same kind of reason I did them was a big deal about it because I've done it before with other jobs. Like I did it before with Pearson View and stuff at first when I first applied with them. Did an interview by email first, and the second interview I did was by Microsoft Teams. Like,
so did this person have a Microsoft Teams interview at all?
No, we just by email and stuff only first, and then I called them stuff second. They're like, "Yeah, you got the job." I'm like, "All right." So,
that's a red flag right there. Yeah, usually there's some kind of. So they didn't have a phone interview whatsoever.
No, I contacted them by phone and stuff first. Well, basically, what they said it was for this part Premier Rose. I contacted that number so that listed on Indeed. And they basically just told me, like, yeah, you got the job and stuff. Congratulations. We just stick on this information by email and stuff, and we'll see when you'll be able to start. I'm like, okay.
Was there any telltale signs? Was there anything? Because, when I hear that there's no interview, no face to put anything or something, was there any kind of documentation about the job or something where you would have, said like, yeah, this looks like a viable place? Or did they just use the template for the school and just make it look real good?
They use the template for the school, make it look real good, but here's some tips I'm gonna go by. I'll go by for anyone else. I think should go by also to avoid this. The first thing is to make sure they do not only just call you by phone, especially because I requested that they call me by phone when I had more questions. They didn't. They only contacted me by both email and text messages, and they text me through an email and not through actual phone. That was the first telltale sign of stuff right there. I probably should be careful. That's the first one. the second one and stuff is that a lot of IT jobs nowadays, they do a lot of interviews. They do like about 2 or 3 different step interviews and stuff. Some do by email, but majority of them do their interviews by both phone and by Microsoft Teams. That's the second sign I should look for right there. So it's by Microsoft Teams, and that's the second telltale sign. And the third sign, so I know the tip and stuff, I always do more further research and call their business and stuff first before they give you any type of position stuff available. So make any type of offerings first. And I always research their company stuff first and make sure they're legit. Cause that's what I've been doing from now on ever since I've been applying for different jobs ever since this incident that has happened. Because I always research the company stuff, contact the company by phone first and see they actually legit and stuff first. Because I've been doing this stuff a lot lately and stuff for every single job I've been applying for, just to make sure this situation doesn't happen again and does not repeat itself.
Yeah, I've been, with stuff that I've seen from, in some of these places I was already familiar with, but like positions that I sent you, I've been looking on the LinkedIn. LinkedIn is, for the most part, I mean, they could pull a scam on there too, but generally, when you look at some of these recruiters, and there was an issue I had where I was trying to help this one brother find some work, and he was real apprehensive about some of these offshore recruiters. And as you and I both know, you 9 times out of 10 in this game, the Indians kind of got it on lock. Like, yeah, you're gonna have somebody that could barely speak English calling you up, and you looking at it like, man, this dude could be a fraud. Most of the time they're not, but when you look at some of these companies, a lot of times they're in Texas, and then they got a lot of these companies kind of from around the world, and a lot of these agencies, they're all fighting for the same position, so either
in Texas or New Jersey,
in New Jersey. They're in New Jersey. Most of the time they're in Texas or in New Jersey. Some of them will hit you out of New York. You hit a couple in Ohio and stuff like that. And I've become familiar with seeing some of these agencies and stuff, and it's a bunch of them. But for the most part, I mean, what it is you got a bunch that are just fighting over like the same job, and if depending on what job it is, you'll let a couple of them email you, and then you just compare the rates. You might have one person email you about 3-4 jobs, the same job, and you just tell them, well, hey, I'll get back to you, and you just go to the other person and just say, because sometimes they'll have several recruiters from the same company, and they'll email you, and you just, hey, what's the rate? And don't submit to none of them. Just wait until 3-4 hours, and then you just go with the best rate. And once you kind of do your due diligence on them, then you be like, all right, and you can submit. But yeah, now the data center position, that one that was in Eden Prairie, what were they talking about?
The data center and stuff on Eden Prairie, I still have not heard back from me yet. I mean, it did respond and call me back because they were part of Experience. It was based on work with them before, because Experience got me a position with Best Buy.
Okay. Yeah.
And Pearson View.
Okay.
But I'm still waiting to hear back from them and stuff right now, because they said they submitted my application.
All right. What was their rate?
They said it will only start for $20 an hour.
Okay.
I mean, at this point, I'm really almost taking anything about $20 an hour and up. But the interview I had for the day, but it was on Microsoft Teams, because it was basically 2 different people that interviewed me. They were offering like around between, like, they said somewhere between 25 or 26 an hour. I'm like, all right, that's fine. But they said their work schedule as far as kind of like a well balanced variety type of schedule. Like they said, some weeks so far gonna be working in the office, other weeks so far be working from home, and then certain times so far the year gonna be working hybrid. So I'm like, all right, I'm fine with just that, because I got experience doing all 3.
Let's go back to the data center when that was only $20 an hour. It was part-time. I sent that one because, as we know, we had Brother Elmi, and I'm not sure if you heard that video. I'll repost it. But we had a brother that talked about the data center on a couple of the episodes back. I think that was actually my first episode We had one of the brothers from the diaspora that was breaking down how to get into the data center game and how that's not going anywhere. So I sent you that position because, I figured it don't pay much, but if you could get in there and work as a data center, you can really obtain a serious skill that can never be taken away. Now, this other one for the firm that used to be called Burke and KDV.
No, that's the one I actually had an interview with today, Burke and KDV.
That was at 10:30.
Yes.
Okay, and now that was a permanent position, right?
Yes, that's a full-time permanent position. Yes.
Okay, so they're a managed service provider.
Yeah.
And they changed their name.
Okay, yeah, because that's what they told me during the interview and stuff. So they met some provider that changed their name and stuff a few times. They've been in that business like about 10 to 15 years. So like two different guys interviewing me and stuff. One of them looked kind of familiar, I thought. I thought it was actually the same guy stuff at CompuCom. I thought it was him, but it wasn't. But he told me he's related to the guy so far at CompuCom. So I think the guy was named Edward, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
I remember you told me that you worked with him before, stuff on there. Edward Frederick. I can't. That's the last stuff to the F.
Okay. Yeah, I see him. Now that position, that was just like the first screening, or that was your second interview with them.
Yeah, this is my second interview. My first interview was with a woman and stuff named Aubrey.
That was the recruiter.
She's
okay. That was the recruit, talent acquisition. Okay, so she's getting a feel for you. And so they thought you were good enough to go for the second interview. And so the second interview, that was like a technical interview?
Yes.
Okay. And you said this position is hybrid.
They said it could be a variety. So I told them I'm okay so far. We can either both on site, hybrid, or just remote. Because I told them I have all experience with all three so far. They're like, it's fine. Now, I told them I'm willing to work weekends. They're like, oh, don't worry about this so far. We prefer not to have people work weekends or holidays. But it's cool. It's nice to know so far you're more than down. But they said they're more about people so far working well balanced lifestyle so far that's interfere with their personal life. They reduce as much stressful stuff as possible. I'm like, oh, okay, all right.
Yeah,
this an employee support that actually cares about his workers and stuff. Like, okay.
Yeah, that's a good thing, man. Whenever they start talking about, giving you, opening up that work-life balance for weekends, because where I'm at, like, they care less. You know what I'm saying? So, I applied there too, just for just to sharpen up my interview game, and a lot of times I'll just it's getting real competitive, man. But yeah, they might so that will be a permanent position. That might be a game changer for you, system analyst. Did they talk about?
Another thing I wanted to mention about as well. Time to cut you off, but another thing I wanted to mention about as well too. That they work with Microsoft Azure. They said they be doing that and stuff as well too. And he was asking the first, say, hey, like, in the next couple of months, next couple of months over here, we get your Azure certification stuff. We do work with Azure here, so too. I told somebody the next 2 to 3 months, I'm planning on getting the certification. I'm just planning for it right now, because when the interview first started, I'm like, hey, I had an issue with my computer where it would not come. I can go into Teams, but the video wouldn't come up, and there was no audio. So I typed in so far in Teams, like, hey, let me restart the computer and stuff, and come back to the meeting and stuff. So I was a little inconvenient. At first, I was like very upset with my computer. So I was like, oh, these guys are going to interview me so far in Teams. So once I restart my computer, got back on, like, hey, that's a good technical skill you showed us right there so far. I can fix issues right there. It's a pretty good example. So that's pretty good. I'm like, they saw it as a positive. So I'm like, oh, okay, all right, and. Yeah, basically, I told them so far before they call, I was like on my computer so far studying both Linux and Microsoft Azure. So I'm still trying to go back to get the certification for both, but I'm trying to figure out which one should I go for first. And I guess I have to go for the Microsoft Azure certification first to ask about it and stuff, and then go back for the Linux.
Well, now did you mention that to them that you were going to get your Linux?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. And you said they're going to be supporting Azure. In what respect did they expect? What were they looking for, far as the position? What did the position entail, and the training and things of that nature?
Basically looking for someone who has a little bit of cloud experience. Because they saw on my resume where I work with masters. I have experience working with cloud-based platform with software as a service.
Right.
And they were like, oh, it's pretty cool and stuff. So basically looking for someone who like work with clients, who work with ticketing systems. But they said they also like the fact that I have experience usually when we work with multiple ticketing systems such as ServiceNow, Sharewell, and with Salesforce ticketing system called Service Direct. I actually was really satisfied with that. As well as handling certain calls. They said like you're not gonna be on calls every single day. There's some days you're gonna be on calls. There are other days you'll be on the ticketing system, huh?
So you're saying that some days, so you won't be in the queue all day.
That's correct. They said certain days I may be in the queue all day, other days I may not. Then other days I won't be in the queue at all.
Wow, that's good, man. So now, as far as Azure, what are their expectations in the scope of Azure?
And like, as long as you got a little bit of experience and stuff working with cloud-based platforms and AWS, you should get pretty much, using Azure pretty fine and stuff. So you don't have to be the best at it, because they themselves stand so far and say, yeah, they say it's better to be someone of a jack of all trades, but no one's a master or done. Like, you're not going to be a master. Everything that happens here, but as long as you're willing to learn and willing to basically get used to things up here and willing to get better things here, that's all that really matters to them. I'm like, okay. Because they said the same thing themselves so far. They said a lot of them been for years. They started new stuff they're still not even used to yet. But the same as that time, as long as they have to use their knowledge base support to better themselves, they get to be all good from there.
Now, did they ask you about the rate, or did they just say, well, the rate is XYZ?
The rate so far is with the first interview and such. They talk about the rate in the first interview, but the lady so far, Aubrey so far, she told me about the rate. She said, I told so far, like I told her on the D so far, you guys on the D so far, your rate was anywhere between $64,000 to $98,000. She's like, we don't know about that, but for starters so far, we start from anywhere around 25, 26 an hour. Would that be cool? I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine. You're like, all right, we can start around 25, 26 an hour. So once you start, we'll determine so far which rate you have between 25, 26 once you start.
Okay.
Well, if you get hired, so that's what they told me. I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Okay, yeah, I could have sworn that when I went on the website, I seen, and see, here's another thing, Jim, for folks that's listening, what a lot of times these managed service providers that's heavy in the cloud, what they do, sometimes, and I talked to this brother the other day, and he's probably listening. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll hire tech support and they'll silo. So these positions, some of these positions where you're looking at like, man, they need to be 60 to 90, but they'll hit you with the 25, 26 because they're like, well, you either are not certified yet, or you're not coming from an engineering implementation standpoint where you understand the cloud from a best practice standpoint. When you understand the cloud from best practice, that's somebody that has administered, has designed, and that can speak from a performance level. Hey, you could do this, you could do that, you can make these modifications, and you can configure it this way, and this will be you could augment the process. Now for that, yeah, they're gonna pay 90 for that. But if you're kind of doing a little bit more break fix and doing monitoring and stuff like that, you know what? That's cool to get that going as a start. If you ain't got it already, if you haven't really done it and you just done really basic like help desk stuff, or but they like that software as a service, and they like to hear when people say, well, hey, I'm gonna get my Linux so you can move around on the command line and things of that nature. So yeah, hey, if they offer it, I'd take it. I would definitely take it. I would between the data center, now that data center one, I'm gonna be honest, that should pay more. But I think what they're trying to do is they're just trying to get some people up in there that ain't got a lot of experience. Because if you got years and years of data center experience, you ain't taking no less than 80,000. They know that. So I think they're just trying to get some people in there for a little bit to do part-times. They call it this quote-unquote smart hand stuff. I would, if this place is permanent and they call you in on the hybrid, I would go with them. Now, if they're not talking about nothing in the data center, it's probably going to cost you enough just to get there. You know what I'm saying? But if the data center is trying to holler at you, holler at the data center. Stay out there for about 6 months. Start working on your Cisco CCNA. We'll hook you up with Brother Elmi, and you kind of do a test drive. And, that's another thing we've been talking about. I ain't talked to the brother in a minute, but getting some kind of virtual break fix router thing going where people could actually see it. But a lot of times like he said, a lot of it's physical. You want to actually put your hands on it. So, but that's something that we had talked about, and I'm not exactly sure on how because the virtual stuff is cool, but you kind of want to see it. You kind of want to be there. So yeah, man, if I were you, I would see what's going on with these KDV people. They're talking about, putting you in, a cloud position. You haven't really been able to. I mean, you dealt with the software as a service, UI support, which is good. But if they're gonna let you actually touch Azure and mess around in there on a production environment, yeah, I would definitely take that. Now, you mentioned one more other position. What was that position?
It was based like an insurance type of position. They call themselves Bankers Life. That's the name of the company and stuff, and they based off somewhere in Bloomington as well too. So
okay.
So basically, I had an interview with them so tomorrow around 2 p.m.
Yeah,
but they said with the KDV, their position, they said I should hear back from them either sometime in the end of this week or sometime around the beginning or middle of next week. I should hear back from them.
Okay, that's fine. You see what they're talking about. I took like a little, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and that's another thing I think I'm about doing, for the channel and stuff, man, is like taking remote interviews. And some of those be on Teams. I had one where I wasn't able to record it correctly, but I'm gonna start putting that up there, man. So black folks can kind of see, how to go about these interviews, and also you get to see some of your flaws. That's why I always tell people, man, record your interviews in audio. If you're working, if you have an issue with HR and you're working a permanent job and you're trying to, and like I say in the book, if they try to subvert you or something like that. You may not be able to use it in the court, but with HR, they can't deny that they heard it if it's an issue, that is. So, but Fifth Amendment and due process and equal protection of the law still stands no matter what. There was another issue position I sent you. I suspect this is with TATA, which is TCS. I think it is, just by the way it looks. I'm not sure, but there's a company by Tanisha Systems, and like you said, they're in New Jersey. They're in Iceland, New Jersey, of all places. So I'm familiar with that company. They have a printer management position. I don't know if that's just printer management. Something's telling me this system admin. They said the mandatory skills is 24/5 support. So on-call, incident management. That's kind of interesting for a contract. Then they said advanced scripting, Unix or Bash. Now that Linux stuff would have came in for you. Configuration management, release management support, net-based protocols, SFTP and FTP, server management, Windows, Linux, SQL, Oracle, monitoring tools, ServiceNow, printer management. I don't know how much this pays, but I'm gonna go ahead and send them an email and just ask them. It's an on-site position. Let's see, evening.
On site, they're based off of the company's based off New Jersey, okay, but it's a position on site. Okay.
I'm gonna ask them, is this remote? Because they say on site. I'm gonna say, is this remote flexible? Because we know with this whole pandemic going on, man, they gonna push people back in. They're gonna come up with another little jab and they'll push people back in if need be or whatever. So a lot of that stuff, I don't know, man. I mean,
not only that, it's stuff. I heard like a little report so far. What a report saying it's wintertime so far. It's not gonna be all that cold outside, so it's not gonna be in the snow.
Yeah.
But at the same time so far, we were in Minnesota, so man, Minnesota, the weather up here is very bipolar. But that happens, the winters up here where it's not been that cold. Like, see, back in 2011, 2012, like the winter is so far we're not going on lower than 22 degrees. I remember that happened all year. I'm like, damn, it was barely even cold at all. But the following year, so far, like, it got cold as hell. So that was, it was. But as far as like the solutions right now, so as far as like how like going forward and stuff, I guess the one certification that she's working on stuff right now is like we're working two at a time so far, both Azure and Linux. And after that, I'm gonna try to go for the CCNA and stuff next. And then I'm trying to figure out what to go on. Go for like a administrative role certification. Those are the only type of 4 ones I have going on. And then I remember trying to reapply so far for security with the whole training with them and everything. And so they told me they could not hire me because I don't have any transportation right now. And I remember something you told me, and so like years ago, you're like, do not go backwards so far career-wise. You're in the IT right now. I mean, I'm like, okay, so I figure like this kind of little thing right now, they keep you going backwards and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I would, yeah. If you're getting calls, you're getting interviews, just stay, bless you, just stay diligent, and like I said, it's very competitive out here. The jobs are getting a little janky. I don't know what's going on. Could be have something to do with the war or whatever. But like I say, there's going to be. There's still jobs out there. It's just a matter of just carving your lane into, something that people need, coming up with a solution or something that people need. So, like I say, whatever one comes along, especially like the one when it comes with the cloud, I would deal with that one. And, you've been studying for the Linux. I just go ahead and knock that out. You can't lose, even if you don't pass. You can't lose with the Linux because a lot of people ain't Linux certified. A lot of people don't even use it. Most of the companies. I'm sorry to cut you off again, so DP, but I'm going to have to report you and stuff, man. But last month I had to my Linux certification for the first time. I actually failed it and stuff. I was still about a 350 out of a 500, and the passing score was actually a 420 so far out of 500 at the score. 350 out of 420. No, 350 out of 500. Like you had to get 420 or more to pass. So 350. So to pass, you need a 420. You got 350. Yes. Okay. So let me guess. You probably needed to work on either some of those scripting commands or some of those directory commands. Yeah, it was basically like a mixture. It was basically I had to work on a little bit more so far as like a little bit of directory commands, but more towards scripting commands and more towards some of the security-based stuff. And security-based stuff as far as anything so far as based off command line. Yeah, that's chmod. The chmod. It's not really so much as a Rubik's cube. It's just, the permissions, the RW and all that read write and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So yeah, yep. I figured that's what it was. Something with the directories, moving in those certain directories, and you said security, and I said scripting. Scripting is always going to get you like that, But the nice thing about that cert is it's a lifetime cert. You're gonna use a lot of these commands and basic working knowledge of this kind of stuff. Anyway, and like I say, just go back and take it. The Azure, you could study at the same time. I'd go back and I'd knock out that Linux thing. You get it. You're going to feel good about yourself. You keep working in the command line, and then now you got bragging rights. You throw that up on LinkedIn. You put it on your resume. Hey, I'm Linux certified. A lot of people ain't, man. At the place I'm at, man, you got people that's been in the game 10, 15, 20, 30 years. They ain't thinking about getting a Linux cert. They try to avoid it because they're like, well, I'm old. I'm a baby boomer. I ain't got to really know too much else. I'm about to go ahead and retire. And every couple weeks, man, you got folks that's like, yeah, I retired in the mountains in Tennessee and this, that, and the third. And a lot of them folks, man, they ain't trying to really mess with no Linux like that because they got Bible Windows. But they about to retire. So they don't really have to deal with the AI stuff so much. They don't have to relearn any of this new stuff. They just kind of retired, in their little silo, and they're good. You and I are a little different. We're not anywhere close to retiring. So like another 25 or 30 years for retirement and stuff, most likely. So. Yeah, I mean, and who knows with 401k, that might be not nothing, what I'm saying, in the next 10 years. But, I tell people, man, you might want to consider using it as a saving plan. But, Yeah, man. I would go back if I were you. I'd go back, man, and try, and study and knock that Linux out, as soon as possible. This time, the time that you are not working, look at that as Linux time. If it's like some new game you want to play, Xbox, whatever the case may be, or anything outside of being able to push you forward, I'd put all that on hold. Whatever it is, any vice, whatever the case may be, I'd put it all that on hold, and I go down there and I, crank out that Linux thing. Okay, you don't pass again, buy another voucher with a retake. Keep knocking at that Linux thing, and and as you're working with employers, you tell them in the interview, hey, I just went and took my Linux, I didn't pass, I got close, because they're like, okay, well, this dude, he's on his Jon Snow. He didn't conquer King's Landing yet. He's going back in it. They like folks like that because, like he said, jack of all trades. He knows, man. Ain't nobody that understands Azure from a best practice standpoint. Ain't nobody taking less than 85,000 to 150. They're not. They're not taking less than. They're not taking no less than 110. If they know it from a best practice, because now you're architect level. You understand how to really configure this. So, yeah, you're not taking no less than 85, 110. But with somebody that, and here's a good thing about the managed service, and I'll let you go in a second here. The good thing about managed services is, for now, a lot of times they're quick to pay for your certs, and you're gonna be siloed up to a certain extent. After about a year, you might start feeling siloed, like, well, I don't really get to implement nothing. I'm just doing a lot of break fix, and I'm just logging in and clicking this and monitoring that. But you work your resume good enough, like I told the brother, you might stay there for about a year. You work on just being excellent. The money's gonna be a side effect, as we always know, and you're gonna be, you're gonna be straight. You could go and apply somewhere else. If you feel like you're really learning and you're getting a lot of opportunity there, then you go back and renegotiate and say, well, all right, let me try to apply, see if they got some upward mobility. That's another thing that a lot of people have been complaining about, is upward mobility and how companies go about doing that. I covered that in my last broadcast. A lot of companies, and Microsoft did this report, people don't like staying at companies because there's no upward mobility. They don't feel trusted. The management don't trust them, etc. So, like I say, if they come back with an offer, go ahead and take it. Of course, you want more, but I will go ahead and take that one because it will be better than where you were at. And then now you have an opportunity to prove yourself and adding value with the cloud. So, I'm gonna continue to program myself. I got some other things to cover, but look, brother. Let me know what happens, man. I got a test interview that I'm gonna post on my channel, and I'll cover that, and I'll just go ahead and let me know what happens tomorrow.
All right, I'll keep you posted and updated stuff. All right.
Okay, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you. All right, that's our brother KJ. He's been a long time supporter. We helped get him in the game. Got to be careful, man. You got to be real careful with these fraud folks out here. And with no further ado, we're going to continue to talk about, we're going to continue the program. I got a couple things that I did want to clear up and did want to discuss from the last program. I'm thinking about sponsorships now. But first, I'm not going to ask nobody to sponsor me. I'm going to show some love first. I'm thinking about, starting up promoting black-owned businesses again. We are speaking to black folk. We speaking to our folks here. So I want to start promoting that. I used to do that on my other channel and stuff like that, but I want to start doing that. So maybe I'll start doing that in the next couple episodes. Now, one thing I forgot to cover earlier was when I said having several different resumes. Now, remember the other episode where we talked about the whole the whole double up culture right now, and we were covering some of those different things. And you have to formulate your resume to the position you want. It's not so much as about lying, but we've done a lot of jobs in our life, and there's a lot of times where we're not really able to convey and we're not able to communicate what we have done. And you don't have to have every position on one resume. My resume would probably look like the King James Version of the New Testament if I kept going. I'm not putting all those jobs on my resume. I'm putting the things that's recent, and I'm putting the things that are applicable. Now, there was a position, because I've been applying for all kinds of stuff to sharpen up my tool, and I might look at a double up here and there. But one thing I wanted to say was, there was a company and they were asking about download speed and upload speed, and I said, well, I'm just going to copy and paste that. I'm not going to keep going up to the internet service provider speed check. And I said, well, my download speed is 224.12 megabytes and 23.27 upload, and that might change tomorrow, but they won't know when I took it. I'm just going to copy and paste that, and every time I get asked for a company, most companies don't ask that unless it's like a high call volume, or a company, they want to make sure that your internet is up to par. So my recommendation is just go to speed test, get your download and upload speed, so you ain't got to keep going back out, because it's time is money. And when you get like a tier 1 support, download your speeds, and keep them in Google Notes, and keep 2-3 resumes on deck. Now, there was something that I did want to discuss. Which I think was very pertinent. Now, this brother was sitting here saying, well, I'm getting a lot of rejections. And like I said, it is getting competitive out here. But remember, sometimes competitive is code word. Because when you're speaking to folks from the dominant society, when they start talking about competitive, they'll tell you that to throw you off your game sometimes. Now, I know that, yeah, I've gotten more rejections than normal. And I said, well, I ain't tripping. It can be, even if you really don't want it like that, sometimes you might feel like, well, man, I know I'm qualified, but that don't always be the case. Sometimes they don't want nobody super qualified. They want somebody that's going to stay there and be a slave. Sometimes they want that. A lot of the state agencies sometimes do that. You come in there, man, and you come in there like the road runner, man. They looking at you like, okay, he's gonna take his experience and he ain't sticking around. He's not gonna stick around once he masters his game, as you should not. But there was something that was very interesting that I wanted to cover, and I was gonna cover with the brother on the phone, but I'm pretty sure he'll probably say something in the comments, because he's gonna hear this and be like, okay. But I seen online there was a help desk position in Conyers, Georgia, and it was on site. They said the interview could be webcam or in person. All right. Now, this is something that I thought that was interesting. Now, where is Conyers, Georgia? Did I cover this last episode? I don't think I did. Conyers, Georgia is not too far from Covington or Covington, Lithonia. Okay, it looks like it's a half hour from Atlanta. Yep, I was about right. 24 miles from Atlanta. Okay. So it's past Pantherville. Okay. Now, why did I bring this up? Well, when I looked at the position, I said, well, if it's a remote position, I could let folks know what's going on. But it says GADDS Bilingual Help Desk Analyst 1. Bilingual. This position is located at the DDS headquarters in Conyers, Georgia. Must be bilingual Spanish/English. Interesting. Black folks, listen to what I'm telling you. Now, when I went and looked at that DDS, It's talking about the Georgia Department of Driver Services, 2206 East Parkway, Northeast Conyers, Georgia. Now, this is the driver's license office. That really brought up the Spidey sense, because I started going on, my little Negro Spidey sense started tingling, and I said, wait a minute. Ain't they shipping a bunch of illegals up to Georgia? Ain't they doing that? I thought that was very interesting. Very, very interesting. And they're telling you, you can't speak the King's English. You got to speak Spanish in order to get the job. As a foundational Black American, I can't come up in there speaking the King's English. I can't come up in there speaking the King's English. So it made me wonder, is there a large Hispanic population going up in there? Nobody's hating. We're observing here. Because, see, Black folks, this affects you. While your plantation politicians down there is telling you who you need to vote for and what you need to do and what you should be grateful for, they're bringing in these folks by the boatload, telling you can't get no help desk position unless you speak Spanish. That's what's going on. Now, before we go on to the next article, this is from the Defender. I wanted to talk about this before, but we're talking about IT. Now, this is a very long article. Well, not so much very long, but I think I'm going to go ahead and read it. Now, this is from Michael Navrakis, PhD at the Defender. This is the Defender Health Defense News and Views. And this was according to the Kenyan Daily Post. Now, let's see here. Let me look at this guy that posted it. Okay, he's based out of Athens, Greece. Holds a master's degree in public policy. Okay. Completed PhD in media studies at the University of Texas in 2018. Okay, well. All right. Now, on the 23rd, or not the 23rd, but on the 30th of October, this was posted. And the article says, Bill Gates pushes digital ID for newborns in Kenya as critics warn of surveillance risk. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is continuing its global push to support government-backed digital ID programs, this time setting its sights on Kenya. Very interesting, Bill Gates of hell. Very interesting. Where it will advise the government on the country's Maisha Namba digital ID initiative currently under development, Reclaim the Net reports. According to the Kenya Daily Post, Gates' role was assisting the Kenya government, underline that word, in its development and rollout of Maisha Namba was announced after a recent series of closed-door meetings with Kenyan President William Ruto. The billionaire, who is known to champion GMO foods, has met Ruto in a series of meetings since he came to power, with most of the engagements shrouded in secrecy, the Kenya Daily Post wrote. Quote, the deal will connect the government to key technical experts and partners who will offer professional advice to guarantee a smooth rollout. Kenya.Coke reports. Now, who is this? Kenya.co.ke. 10 most asked questions on Maisha Namba. Now, what is that? President William Ruto's Kenya Kwanzaa administration is currently conducting the registration of Maisha Namba, a personal unique identifier. This, according to Ruto, is meant for its government to enhance service delivery to citizens by embracing information and communication technology, which they call it ICT. Speaking in Nakuru on Saturday, September 16th, Immigration and Citizen Services Principal Secretary Julius Bitok noted that the current registration and identity ecosystem is 30 years old and has been rendered obsolete by newer technologies. He explained the decision to upgrade the Kenyan ID system to enable it conform with global requirements and align it to a digital economy is long overdue. Okay, so yeah, this is from Kenyans.co.ke. Okay, it pointed me to that. I just want to take a look at that. Man, okay. Alexis Hancock, Director of Engineering for the Electronic Frontier Foundation, told the Defender that such secrecy between governments and private entities is common. Outside companies, this is her quoting, outside companies often pitch solutions to various governments that they could solve their problem with their product. She said, if governments are to implement this, the technology involved should be allowed scrutiny by the people first before anything is deployed, and delayed if it is not considered safe and equitable. Okay, safe and equitable. According to Biometric Update, Maisha, I'm trying to say it right, Maisha Namba is expected. You know what? Let's get this right. What is this? What is this? I want to know what the hell this is. I keep hearing this name. Let's see what this is.
And I'm happy to inform the public that today we are at the second meeting. We are the second breakfast meeting with the civil society. And I'm happy to inform the public that the meeting centered on the rollout of a Maisha number ecosystem, which is 4 components. That is a Maisha number, Maisha card, Maisha digital ID, Maisha integrated database. So I'm happy to announce also that we have started the piloting of this very important number. And I want to inform the public that we are not seeking for extra additional budget for this kind of project. We are using the resources that have been allocated within our budget.
I've highlighted a number of concerns that civil society...
Maisha Namba, okay. All right, now here's something else. Public sensitization ahead of official Maisha Namba identification card launch on Monday. Now, this is from KBC Channel 1.
Of Immigration Services is sensitizing the public about the Maisha Number identification card ahead of its official launch next Monday. On Tuesday, officials from the Directorate, led by Immigration Principal Secretary Julius Bitok, were at Komarokin, Nairobi County for a public participation forum. Maisha Number is a lifetime identification that will be used as a registration number for schools, the National Health Insurance Fund, Kenya Revenue Authority, and other government services. Bitok said the current national identity card will continue to be recognized as a valid identification alongside the new card.
Hata hii waiting unapewa waiting. Kama kijana yangu alichukua miezi 3 iliyopita, mpaka saa hii ako na waiting, hajapata kitambulisho.
Mimi nasema tuiunge mkono because sitakuwa nikibeba document 5. Ni document moja peke yake yenye ina sort kila kitu.
Na hiyo yote utamaliza uhalifu ukora.
I don't know about this, man. I don't know. I really don't know. I just heard some thunder. That was really loud. I hope this don't go out. Let's check the weather. I didn't expect that. Oh, yeah, okay. That's crazy. 45 degrees. 80% precipitation. 80%. I guess I wasn't paying much. Yeah, light rain showers. I wasn't expecting that at all. Yeah, I don't know about this Maisha thing. I'm really not sure. When I hear Bill Gates and them poking around, I don't know. But it says here, the identification number attached to Maisha Namba will also be used to register for government services, education, health insurance, tax, and Social Security. But some experts say they believe the Maisha Namba program has other unannounced aims, which I do as myself. Dr. Wahome Niger, chairman of the Kenya Catholic Doctors Association, told the Defender that Maisha Namba will operate as a vaccination tracking program. Yeah. Maisha Namba, it says Kiswahili for Life number is a biometric vaccination system for newborns that will replace birth certs and help track children from birth to 5 years of age, Niger said. It will be used to monitor and ensure all children receive their vaccines. So they're basically saying, well, they're going to replace a birth certificate, so it won't be on paper anymore, based on a jab. Niger said that the Maisha Namba trial was conducted between February and March and is now being rolled out by the government, most likely as part of universal health coverage. Okay. And he said he attributed Gates' involvement with Maisha Namba to the involvement of entities such as Microsoft and Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know about this here. Now listen to this. This is very interesting because I covered a little bit of this in the second book. It says Gates supported biometric digital ID initiatives around the world, including the first such program, ADAR, launched in India in 2009. ADAR enrolled over 99% of Indian adults, linking them with many public and private services. The program has generated controversy, which Gates has dismissed. Of course he did. Other experts also expressed concern. Why is this dude always involved in some jab? He's not a doctor at all. Why is he always involved in this stuff? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Every time his name's constantly coming up. Now, it says other experts have expressed concerns similar to those in Niger. California-based privacy attorney Greg Glasser told the Defender vaccine passports were a test run for global biometric ID, adding, biometric ID is to future dystopian society as batteries are to your TV's remote control. Without the batteries, the remote control does nothing. Without biometric ID, dystopian technology fails. Social credit scores, central bank digital currency, smart devices, and the Internet of Things. All of these are rendered useless without the ability to integrate the masses into new technology systems through biometric identification. Now that seems to make sense. According to Glasser, there was a larger purpose to such efforts. Now listen to what he says about this. Transhumanism is the end game, and biometric ID is its Achilles heel, Glasser said. All of these things in our lives fundamentally depend on ID today. Rights, citizenship status, affiliations, standing in court, accounts, privileges, services, land title, and more. A person can hardly access any of the above without some form of ID, mostly meaning name but often numbers, which are increasingly linked to biometrics. Controlling people means controlling ID. Even national governments are now wholly dependent on their organizational corporate IDs. Man, that's why I said there's something about this that doesn't sound right. It's something about this. And then now let's follow the money. The Kenyan government claims the implementation of Maisha Namba is also intended to bring the country into compliance with international standards on global travel as determined by the International Civil Aviation Organization and other agencies. So now it sounds to me that we got some Negroes here that could be potentially selling their folks out. Maisha Namba is funded with a budget of 1 billion Kenyan shillings, which is approximately 6.8 million. Biometric Update reports this program was initially set to launch on October 2nd, according to Business Daily Africa, but its rollout was postponed on September 29th. Y'all could go out here and look on the Defender and just type up digital ID for newborns. But yeah, when you start talking about babies now, I don't know, man. I don't know. You know, you're going to probably have a bunch of folks run around talking about, well, you know, it's conspiracy theory and all that. But man, I shit. You got all this money. What the hell you need all this digital stuff for? Really? Well, I mean, what do you really need it for if you're really trying to help Africa? This bastard. I don't know. Anyway, we'll go on to the next thing. This is another article. This was by Vishesh Raising Honey on November 2nd, 6:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. This is a Yahoo Finance article. No one saw this coming. Kevin O'Leary says the persistence of remote work is now hurting sectors other than real estate. Here's why he's predicting certain banks are going to fail. Office space has gone from a necessity to a liability in just a few short years, sparking concerns about a collapse in commercial real estate values across the country. No one saw this coming, entrepreneur Kevin O'Leary said in a recent interview with Larry Kudlow of Fox Business, and O'Leary believes the issue will manifest itself in the regional banking sector. These banks are going to fail, he said, because of up to 40% of their portfolio are in commercial real estate. Now it says commercial real estate has outperformed the S&P 500 over 25 years. Rich young Americans have lost confidence in the stock market and are betting on these three assets instead. Let's see what those are. Rich young Americans have lost confidence in the stock market and are betting on these assets instead. So what are they? Stock market has long been the go-to choice for people looking to invest their money, but that could be about to change with the younger generation. According to a recent survey from the Bank of America, individuals aged 21 to 42 with at least $3 million in assets only have 25% of their portfolio invested in stocks, compared to 55% for wealthy investors over the age of 43. So, what assets do rich millennials favor? Prime commercial real estate has outperformed the S&P 500 over a 25-year period. It's no surprise that high net worth individuals, regardless of their age, see opportunity in this asset. Luckily, these kinds of opportunities are now available to retail investors, not just the ultra rich. Diversify with fine art. Millennials are not only collecting art, they're also among the asset's top investors. According to a 2021 report from Art Basel, rich millennials were the highest spenders on fine art, with 30% of millennial collectors spending over $1 million. Oh, grow your wine cellar. You don't have to be a sommelier to experience the finest wines for all their worth. Not only is their asset sit worthy, it helps diversify your portfolio as well. While investing in the fine and rare wine might once have been reserved for the ultra rich, everyday investors can now add this coveted asset to their portfolios with the investing platform VinoVest. Many young investors see potential in the space. Nearly 3/4 of young wine investors spend up to $25,000 a year per year on top bottles, and more than half think investing in wine offers long-term stability, according to a UK survey of 2,000 investors commissioned by the Bordeaux Index. So they're saying the young folks, 40 and under, are doing wine, fine art, hedge against inflation with real estate. Okay. Let's go back to the article, because I wanted to cover that. It says O'Leary's concerns have been echoed across the business community for several months. In April, Warren Buffett told CNBC's Rebecca Quirk that some banks could face heavy losses on their commercial real estate paper, and his business partner Charlie Munger has voiced concerns as well. Has voiced concerns as well, or voiced? Okay. And last month, economist Mohammed El-Erian also warned about emerging pain in the sector. All their concerns seem to hinge on the same issues: rising interest rates and plunging demand for office spaces. What's unique, O'Leary said during the Fox Business interview, was that most of these office units can be used again as the economy has changed. Oh, he said can't be used again as the economy has changed. No one saw this coming, but up to 40% of people who work in small businesses don't return to offices anymore, he added. O'Leary said his own portfolio includes several small and mid-sized businesses that bank with the kind of regional firms he's worried about, which he argues gives him unique insight into the emerging issue. He believes the fact that remote work has stuck around well beyond the pandemic has rendered many previously valuable units of commercial real estate somewhat unnecessary. The real estate services firm Cushman & Wakefield released a report in February that estimates there could be at least $1 billion square feet of empty office space across the United States by 2030. The increase would represent a 55% surge from pre-pandemic office vacancy rates, according to the report. Wow. Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I would have never thought that this would have happened before. And that brings me back, to previous conversations, when I was talking to somebody the other day, about how I got into the game, I started looking at one of my old resumes, and I gotta bring some of my humbling spirit back on, well, how did I get into the game? And y'all are gonna see that when I post this interview that I had, for a desktop position, because I kind of want y'all to see how it goes. Well, how did you get in the game? Well, as y'all know, if you read my first volume, the way I got in the game was really unorthodox. We had Paragon Cable around that time. Netscape Navigator. The internet was, I'll say, it was still being built. Pentagon probably had it and everything, but we had to kind of get it out the mud. Literally. Like, I had to build my own computer. I had to do all that. I was the technical person in my neighborhood. And I decided that I was going to teach myself the game. And so I just started reading books. I started buying pieces of General Nano Systems that, and kind of putting my laptop together. Started burning CDs for the homies and stuff, making mixtapes, selling them, doing whatever. And I really actually got in the game by, as I said on the interview, hey, I applied for, I enrolled in an A+ certification program. Went over there, got under some mentorship of some older brothers that had word on a nonprofit. I got hired at the nonprofit because I had enough experience on my own. I had 1 year experience learning Active Directory. I started learning how to use Norton Ghost. Oh, yeah, that's old as hell. I know. I'm not that old, y'all, but Norton Ghost. Pushing out images on Windows XP at the time. Did that for about a year. My first time working with voice over Internet Protocol phones, Cisco phones. After I did that, I took a contract with Robert Half for Coloplast. That was one of the first times I met my first race soldier. My IT race soldier. That was my first time I met a real IT race soldier. It wasn't a lot of black folks. It wasn't a lot of black folks involved. I didn't see a lot of black folks. I didn't really see that many black people. I didn't see that many black people when I started off. I was there about 4 months, 4 or 5 months, and I decided to open up my own business with some of my homeboys. So I took some of the information that I learned when I was at the A+ certification program in North Minneapolis. I was using Linux Fedora, of course Vista, as garbage as it was, XP. I learned TeamViewer, configuring antiviruses, and a lot of times I could have just kept wiping people's computer, reinstalling Windows XP on their computer. But I decided I didn't want them having to keep spending money. So I lose money sometimes, but I wouldn't, I was trying to help my folks. So I would install Linux Fedora. I don't know if it was Ubuntu at that time, but I know it was Linux Fedora. And let me go on that way. I'm just out of curiosity. Let's just look real quick. Going off subject for a minute, but is Fedora still around? I'm quite sure it is. Yep, sure is. Came out in 2003. I'll be damned. Yes, sir. It sure is. Came out in 2003 as a continuation of the Red Hat Linux project. Yes, sir. It sure is. So I would install that on a lot of black folks' desktop and say, hey man, you go on any website you want now. You ain't got to worry about the viruses so much. So after that, I was working at a IP video surveillance company in Burnsville, Minnesota. And then I started riding the Windows 7 migration wave. The first Windows 7 migration project that I had, went back to Robert Half again. You know what I'm saying? And start contracting a lot. Because I really didn't like, you know, where I was at when I was working out in Burnsville. I didn't feel like I was really learning too much else. You know, so sometimes, like I told the brother earlier, you got to just diversify your portfolio. So I guess I started working on all the Windows 7 migration, you know, projects in the city. And as y'all know, if you read my first volume, when I went to Blue Cross and I was doing all their deployments, man, and they was letting people go left and right, man, listen, I was in Puerto Rico sipping on some, I don't remember what I was drinking, but I was on the beach and I got a voicemail saying they laid off like 15 people. And I was on my way to Travelers Insurance. And that was the highest amount of money I was getting paid per hour. With no college degree. That was good money for a guy in his 20s at that time. That was real good money. You know what I mean? So I was happy about that. And did a contract with Medica. And then I had a Windows 7. What really changed my life was a Windows 7 contract as a team lead. Working with Dell through an insurance company. And from then on, I started getting into Citrix administration. I eventually started getting into, you know, I went to college for a little bit. I quit. I said it wasn't really no sense of me doing that if I'm going to be getting black folks to work. And I just kind of went on the technical training, getting people certified and getting folks jobs. That's how I got in the game. I didn't have a college degree. I really got it out the mud. But now y'all ain't even got to read all. I mean, you know, it's good to read the books and stuff, man. As Neely Fuller says, man, it's a university. Life is a university. The YouTube is literally a university. Literally. When did YouTube come out? When did YouTube come out? I'm just curious. Let me go on Wikipedia. Oh, so okay, YouTube was founded in 2005. But I wasn't using. I didn't even know anything about YouTube then. That was 18 years ago, man. I graduated high school in 2001. It was launched in 2005. I mean, for real, y'all. I did not do anything with YouTube. I don't even know if I used YouTube until, I don't remember when the first time. I'm gonna be honest. I do not remember the first time that I used YouTube. I don't. I mean, what I'm doing now, if I would have been doing that at the beginning, man, please. I'm telling you, I should have been doing that in the beginning. Making all these broadcasts and videos and stuff like that, man. I should have been doing that. But you know, I didn't really know too much about it. I mean, like I say, I'd go to people's houses, I would pick up their computers and stuff like that. I wasn't in the tech training. I was in the learning stage. I was in the learning stage, y'all. So, you know, don't beat me up too much. Don't beat me up too much. But yeah, I'm gonna post that interview. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna post this broadcast up. I appreciate y'all watching. Nobody's emailed me yet. Nobody's emailed me yet saying my numbers have been off. Because remember the last broadcast I did, I was talking about, hey, wait a minute, is my numbers off? Is my numbers off on this tax thing right now? That's what I was asking y'all. Is my numbers off? I asked y'all, is my numbers bogus? Looking at the 2023 IRS taxes, where I said, well, hey, if you're making over $89,000, I think it was like 10 bands and another 22% or something like that. So if you make 89, you know, I haven't got nobody to say I was incorrect yet. I'm just checking, y'all. I'm just checking. I'm not bigger than the program. I'm just checking. So look, I think I'm gonna try to have people on as much as I can because I want to hear people's stories, man. But y'all be careful, man, when y'all on the internet and you looking for some of these jobs. A lot of times they're gonna be remote. Sometimes they won't. But just do your extra due diligence. I have not been a victim of employment fraud before, but let's learn as we go along and look for these telltale signs. If your Negro spidey sense, is trying to kick up a little bit, you're like, wait a minute, something ain't looking right. Just do your due diligence, stay into the question mode. I'll see y'all next week. I appreciate it.